On January 13, 2014, American Gulf War veteran Chad Oulson and his wife were at a movie theater in Wesley Chapel, Florida, to see the movie Lone Survivor. Sitting behind the couple was Curtis Reeves, a retired American SWAT commander. As the movie preview played, Chad used his cell phone to text the babysitter of his 2-year-old daughter. This bothered Reeves, who asked him to turn off the device. Chad ignored him and continued texting. Angered, Reeves left the theater to complain to a worker. When Reeves returned, Chad threw popcorn at him. Reeves responded by drawing his handgun and fatally shooting Chad, who died later that day. In court, Reeves claimed he acted based on Florida's Stand Your Ground law, stating he felt threatened by the younger, more physically fit Chad. Curtis Reeves, a 79-year-old former Tampa police captain, testified in court that he shot Chad Oulson because he felt threatened and had no other option.
Did you shoot Mr. Oulson because of popcorn?
I shot Mr. Oulson because I thought he was going to seriously injure me or potentially kill me.
Reeves claimed Oulson was cursing and appeared to be about to attack him after Reeves complained about Oulson's cell phone use during movie previews. Reeves described Oulson as out of control and looking like a monster.
I'm looking up at this guy and he looked like a monster standing there.
Reeves said he tried to defuse the situation by telling Oulson he wouldn't have involved the manager if he knew Oulson would put his phone away. However, when Reeves turned back, Oulson had stood up and something hit him in the glasses, knocking them askew. Reeves believed Oulson threw his cell phone, but prosecutors say video footage shows Oulson threw a bag of popcorn. Nicole Oulson, Chad's widow, looked angrily at Curtis Reeves during his testimony. Her finger was almost cut off by the bullet that killed her husband as she tried to hold him back during the argument.
Couple steps, and he collapses.
Are you concerned about your hand or your husband?
Oh, my husband. I knew he was way worse than me.
Earlier, she testified that she never heard her husband swear at Reeves. Instead, she said Reeves started the argument by telling her husband to put away his phone. Another witness said that after Reeves shot her husband, he said, "You threw popcorn in my face." In 2017, a judge ruled Reeves couldn't use Stand Your Ground as a defense, but an appeals court later overturned that decision. Now, a jury will decide if Reeves acted in self-defense. Defense attorney Richard Escobar calls this the biggest self-defense case in Florida's history. 8 years after the event, former Tampa police captain Curtis Reeves testified in his second-degree murder trial on February 24, 2022, at the Robert D. Sumner Judicial Center in Dade City, Florida. During questioning by defense attorney Richard Escobar, Reeves described his encounter with Chad Oulson, saying, "He was so much above me and so full of rage that he was going to strike me with all the strength that he could put together. I figured this was the end of the line for me."
I had no other choice, and I reached for my pistol.
Reeves said Oulson stood over him, yelling a lot of profanities and threats. The F word seemed to be his primary vocabulary and used it as part of a threat to beat him. He described Oulson as very volatile and active, trying to come over the seats, leaving him feeling completely defenseless. He had never encountered someone exhibiting that amount of uncontrolled anger and rage. The retired police captain spent several hours on the witness stand, telling a Pasco County jury about what he says happened the day he shot Oulson in the theater. He also testified about his career in law enforcement. Reeves helped establish the SWAT team for the Tampa Police Department and ended his career as the head of security for Busch Gardens. He told the jury he had never drawn his weapon and shot anyone in his years of service as a police officer, and says he never encountered rage from anyone the way he did from Oulson the day of the shooting.
Did you want to shoot Chad Oulson?
I didn't want to shoot anybody. I came to the theater with my family to enjoy a movie. not to be attacked by some guy that's out of control.
Reeves could face a life sentence if convicted of second-degree murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. In February 2022, after over 3 hours of discussion, a 6-person jury returned to the courtroom, and after a long and emotional trial, Curtis Reeves was finally found not guilty on all charges. The verdict brought an end to the 8-year struggle. Reeves, who had maintained that he acted in self-defense, showed little emotion as the verdict was read. However, his family and supporters in the courtroom were visibly relieved and tearful. Nicole Oulson, Chad's widow, who had testified against Reeves and sought justice for her husband's death, left the courtroom without comment. As Reeves walked out of the courtroom, a free man, he was met with a mixture of reactions from the public. Some shouted congratulations, while others expressed outrage and sadness. "This is great," Curtis Reeves said after walking out of the courthouse. "It's been a long 8 years, and I couldn't wait for it to be over with. I'm very proud of my team of lawyers here that did a fantastic job in bringing out the truth." Reeves's defense attorney, Rick Escobar, said, "I think this victory, this acquittal, sends a message to the community, and that message is that you can't abuse the elderly. And we believed all along that Mr. Reeves that day was attacked in the theater, and he did the right thing defending himself." There was follow-up from Chad Oulson's family after Curtis Reeves was acquitted. Nicole Oulson, Chad's widow, expressed her disappointment and disbelief at the verdict, stating that not guilty does not equate to innocence in her view. She remains vocal about seeking justice and has launched the Oulson Family Foundation to help victims of gun violence and keep Chad's legacy alive. What are your thoughts on this verdict? Share your opinions in the comments.